Hi everyone, I'm Pranita and welcome to my kitchen. Today we are going to be learning how to make these Chinese dumplings made with shrimp. So let's go ahead and take a look at the ingredients. So these are the ingredients you're going to need for this dish. We need some dumpling wrappers. Here I have three kinds of wrappers. This is the actual dumpling wrapper. I almost ran out of it. I went to the store but I couldn't find them, so I got some extra thick pot sticker wrappers. So we can talk about that later. So right now I'm not going to be using any wonton wrappers, but I am going to be using some of the extra thick pot sticker wrappers, and the main ingredient of the dish is the shrimp. Here I have some large shrimp which is not deveined or deshelled. It just has its head removed, and we're gonna look into that a little later. Here I have about 1/8 teaspoon of salt and some scallions nicely chopped up. And I also have a couple of garlic cloves and about an inch of ginger. I have some organic soy sauce which I'm going to be using about a half teaspoon. And I have been letting these dumpling wrappers sit outside on the kitchen counter for about 1.5 hours. Just for them to thaw out. Because if you don't thaw out properly, what happens is the sides, they thaw out nicely, but the center still tears the wrapper when you're trying to get them out. So you want to make sure that they are thawed out completely, or you can let them sit overnight in the refrigerator. The toughest part at the tail, it holds nice and tight, so that's what you need to get it out. And then all you need to do is just peel like a book or something like that. So just pull the tail, make sure that you don't get any meat into the extra skin, and just pull the skin off. Make sure these are not the edible parts, so you don't want to serve those. And you put a slit, you can see like how thick it is. For really small shrimp you might not need to devein, but for a big shrimp like this, yes, you definitely want to devein the shrimp. And this is how it looks. You wipe it on the paper towel or a bowl filled with water, and it's just that easy. It takes about 5 minutes of extra work, but it is well worth, and it is something that you can easily do. So here I have about half a teaspoon of oil heating up, and I'm just gonna go ahead and saute some ginger and garlic. And here I have the shrimp that I've cut up into half, or about like an inch size pieces, and I've added it to a food processor. Now I'm using about 10 to 15 shrimp, so that's why I went ahead and added. But if you're making more dumplings, make sure you don't fill the food processor until top, because it doesn't do a good job of pulsing it. So I'm just gonna pulse it like about 10 times or so until it's coarse, and I'm gonna see you guys next. All the spices, the soy sauce, the salt, scallions, and the ginger garlic paste. So here we have the filling. Now make sure that you use a fork to mix everything in. Now you don't want to over mix this, so you want to gently work your way into it, like gently folding it. And once you're done mixing everything, we're gonna start filling up those dumplings. Here I have a huge pot of water coming to a nice boil. This is because once the dumplings are done, we are gonna go ahead and boil them. And here I have the dumpling making station. Here I just opened up the extra thick pot stickers. I don't know why they call this pot stickers, but they look exactly like the dumpling wrappers. And my filling, which I've mixed it nicely, and I have some water so that I can combine the edges of the dumpling wrappers, and a plate with a wet paper towel so that I can cover the dumplings that I make them as I keep going. And I have the fork just in hand, the one that I've mixed shrimp. So make sure that you are not touching anything else in between making dumplings, because you don't want to cross-contaminate the germs. And here I also have a wet paper towel covering up my dumpling wrappers. So we take the wrapper, make sure you cover it back again, or you can take a melon scoop or whatever, but I feel like this is much precise, and this is just enough. So take that filling, that sauteed ginger and garlic smell, just hitting the meat itself, is bringing out the flavor, and the smells is amazing in here. So what you want to do is you want to seal the wrapper. There is nice amount of flour in between the wrappers. It's nice that they are not sticking at all, so they have been perfectly defrosted, and I'm just gonna apply it on the outer layers. Now remember, we are not throwing this into hot oil, so there is no splattering or any hazards, as I would say, excuse me. And my water is coming to a nice boil as well, and I'm just gonna pinch and create an illusion, and it's gonna create a nice shape on top as well. But our first priority is to seal the dumpling, and the second priority is definitely to get a nice pretty shape on it. So here I have my pot of water coming to a boil. Let's get some salt. Now this is the place where you can flavor the outer layer of the dumplings. We know that the inner stuffing is flavorful. We want it to come to a nice boil like this, and once it is at a nice boil, go ahead and drop your dumplings one at a time, and they should go and settle at the bottom of the dish. Don't overcrowd them. I added about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them at one time. Now what happens is that as soon as the meat inside is cooked, since we stuffed it with the raw meat, as soon as the meat inside is cooked, it kind of starts floating on top. So one thing that you need to keep in mind is that once the dumpling is floating, that means the inside meat is cooked, and you don't want to overcook the meat, definitely. So you don't want to let it just keep floating. If you have a doubt that if your dumpling is cooked or not, you can just take one out and see if it's cooked or not. Just cut into it and you will know definitely. As you can see, the dumplings are floating on top. That's my cue. That means they are done. So I'm just gonna take them off. So here are the dumplings just right out of the boiling water, and they're nice and hot. At this point you can serve them right away, or you can reheat them or pan-sear them, or serve them in a Manchurian sauce or just with a hot sauce. The possibilities are endless. This can be an appetizer or a side dish, so whatever you want to serve with, you can do it. Go ahead and do it. And if you have some leftover, you can arrange them in a single layer like this and put it in the freezer and let them freeze for about 4 to 6 hours. Once they are nice and hard and frozen all the way through, just put them in a Ziploc bag and let them freeze about like a month or 2 months, and you can just enjoy them. If you're freezing non-cooked pot stickers or dumplings, you can also lay them in a single layer, just because you don't want them to stick to each other, and you want them to be nice and individual, and they freeze quickly this way. If they're all cluttered up in a Ziploc, they won't freeze well, and some areas will be stuck together, so you don't want that to happen. Here are the dumplings ready to be served. I forgot to mention one more thing, that the dumpling wrappers or the pot sticker wrappers that I have used earlier, I had some left over, so I had put it back in the freezer, because even though it's defrosted, it refreezes again beautifully. So the overall point is, if you have leftover wrappers, you can put them back in the freezer so they freeze, and then when you want to defrost them again, you can follow the same process again. So that's what I was trying to say. And here I have my amazing dumpling wrappers, which are very healthy and fresh and homemade. So hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. You can find this recipe and many more at booklesscooking.com. Thank you.